This woman's a powerhouse. She's developed some amazing technology, and we're going to hear all about sound frequency medicine tonight. So thank you, Dr. Caroline. We are ready to go.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here, whether it's on Zoom or in person. It's really nice that you turned out. I know that I read the little post from Amanda that she put on Facebook about, if there's medications you want to get off, there's other alternatives, that kind of thing. I think that's a big part of the picture. I think another big part of the picture is to create a body that your soul can dance inside of. It's like creating a life you love and having the health to be able to experience it. So I'm really into water skiing. So is my fiance RJ, and I snow ski. I do a lot of other things. And so part of the whole wellness journey for me is keeping my body at a place where I can really thoroughly enjoy those things often. So this whole technology is about sound frequency medicine. And I know a lot of people don't know anything about that. We think traditional medicine, other terms, but this is really truly music to yourselves. So a little bit about my journey. I was raised in a traditional medical family. All the women in my family were doctors. And I thought, by the time I was 5 years old, I just wanted to be a medical doctor. And I was about this size by the time I was 12. So in a small town, you get into a hospital if the patient says okay, and my aunt was an amazing physician, so I got to watch surgeries and deliveries and all kinds of things. But by the time I got ready to go to medical school, I started asking the question, okay, how come we're cutting out tumors and diseased organs that we can live without, and giving medications to treat things, and then giving other medications to treat the side effects of the first medication, creating kind of chemical soup in the body, and we're never addressing the underlying cause of the problem. And she said, this is what we've got. These are the tools they teach us and the tools they give us. Surgery and medication. So that's kind of what you need to use. So I took a hard right and I went to naturopathy instead. And when I got out, I still kind of faced the same thing in that I was handing out, handfuls of homeopathics and natural supplements. It just seemed like I was inundating the body and it wasn't getting me where I needed to be. And I was constantly searching for what I call missing. There had to be an answer that could heal the body without doing any harm to it. And it led me back to school after naturopathic college, back to get a master's in nutrition, because what you eat is who you are, and it's so important to correct deficiencies. Because I'll give you a quick story. There was a gentleman that was 42 years old and pretty healthy. He was a C-level executive in a business, and they brought a health bus. And so all the C-level executives went through the health bus, so all the employees went, and they found an arrhythmia in his heart. So they sent him to his GP. GP sent him to a cardiologist. Cardiologist put him on one medication after another. Nothing worked, so they decided to do open heart surgery. They couldn't find anything. He eventually went back after taking a sabbatical from work. He went back and found a naturopath. Turned out to be a severe B2 vitamin deficiency. So he could have avoided all that if we'd have started there, correct the deficiencies first. So nutrition is a really key component as well. But even with all those things that I learned, I still felt like something was missing. So I started studying energy medicine, Reiki master, just trying to integrate all these pieces and puzzles together. And I do believe the healing arts make up a beautiful tapestry. There's golden threads of truth that run through them all. And everybody's different. You might need this piece and this piece. Somebody over here might need these three pieces. But there's always missing puzzle pieces to make our body whole that are perfect for us. And so trying to determine what that is for each patient or each client is really important. There's also some overall things that really affect the body. And I want you to I invite you to look through a few different lenses with me in the next hour. So what I found is that you balance the energy system in the body can function to create health and wellness. We are actually created to be self-healing machines. That's the way we were created in the first place. So I was working for a company that was in the supplement industry, and I was doing R&D, developing products and national sales. And we had a big gym. It was about a 10,000 square foot gym that was attached to our facility. And we decided to bring in a vibration machine. At that point, there was a turbosonic. But somebody told us there's a brand new machine that's created in Korea. So we brought it in, and we were the first place in the U.S. to get one. And what I noticed is I used to be a runner, and it made my running easier, and it made my recovery faster. And I have really bad cartilage damage in my knees. So when I walk upstairs, everybody fills their ears because it sounds like gravel. And it took about a year, but all that cartilage damage went away. And I thought there's something to this. And then I started hearing stories of chronic back pain, chronic shoulder pain, chronic hemorrhoids, all these things, and people started disappearing. So we decided to take on another business and be the importer and distributor for North America. And we went and found a researcher that was researching sound vibration. Well, he was researching mechanical vibration to start with, the power plate. But we took him 2 of our sound vibration machines, and he did side-by-side studies with neuropathies and all kinds of things. And what he found was his patients were experiencing the same thing. They were actually, other things in their body were spontaneously healing. So we started studying the cells, before and after sonic vibration, before and after mechanical vibration. So that's kind of the beginning of the journey. So Eastern medicine and Western medicine both have a lot of validity. Sound frequency medicine is kind of a bridge in between the two. It actually integrates everything into one. So we're also treating all the things that traditional medicine tries to treat, as well as Eastern medicine. So we're going to look through all kinds of lenses here. So this is the lens of traditional medicine. We're constantly looking at the systems in the body and the organs to see what's malfunctioning. And then we either do surgery or we prescribe a medication to try and treat that problem. So that's the traditional system. Everybody's familiar with that. This is the lens of energy medicine. This field that you see right here is a toroidal field of energy that is constantly going around the body. It's going through the body and through all your chakras, which is the Eastern medicine side, and it's emitting way out from the body. So if you look and consider yourself like this, and the fact that we are constantly absorbing and emitting different kinds of vibrations, whether it's electrical, magnetic, light, subtle, emotional, all of that gets emitted and absorbed. So if you're in a toxic environment or around toxic people, that is still overlapping your field and you're absorbing some of that energy. You know how when you're around some people, you just don't feel good, especially if you've been around them for a while. Other people, they make you feel better. Your energy level goes up. That's because of this field of energy. And this is constantly moving. And it's gathering information, and it's emitting information. And that's kind of how you can be a light to other people, is with this concept. I think this water makes me thirstier.
It's because you're dehydrated.
I've been drinking lots of water.
That's what they say. Not enough.
So that's the basis of energy medicine. It's very based on the interaction between the energy field with other energy fields. And it doesn't matter that's what it is, even EMFs, all of that. That's how we're absorbing those things. A lot of people have a hard time wrapping their mind around how that works. This is how that works. And this to me is kind of the key concept behind it. So health and disease appear to be related to the flow or lack of flow within our energetic systems. This is why this works. So the machine in the back, hopefully you know we're all talking about the AV Fit vibration machine in the back. So if you look through the lens of quantum physics, it's a whole different view in itself. So what is our most basic building block? Anybody know? Atom, right. So your atom is 99.99999% space. Guess what that means? That means you are 99.999% space. Think about that for a minute. Guess what travels really well through space? Sound frequencies, really effectively. This is another reason this works. Sound travels 5 times faster through water, and you're 70% water, as long as you drink this. Interesting fact, when babies are born, they're usually 90% water. By the time people are elderly, they're 50% water. So really important to keep striving to keep your water level up. Okay, here we go, the lens of Eastern medicine. How many of you know much about Eastern medicine? Yay, one person! Oh, that's right. Okay, so according to Eastern medicine, all disorder, dysfunction, and disease has to do with energy blocks in the body. Energy blocks in the body are caused by trauma. It can be mental trauma, emotional trauma, or physical trauma. And I think we've all been through a lot of that on one level or another. So getting those energy blocks moved, the body starts healing itself. The very first person that bought the machine that I manufacture, there was a couple actually, they live in Molten Free Water. And he bought it for his wife, she wanted to lose weight, she wanted to lose weight. And he started getting on it. And I didn't know he had any issues going on. The whole time I knew them, I had no idea. But we went and checked in on him, see how things were going, how the machine was working, because it was our first one in the field, and asked his experience on it. He said, I was on it 4 times and my shoulder pain was right. I said, well, I didn't know you had shoulder pain. He had fallen off a horse. They're horse people. And he'd fallen off a horse onto concrete, torn up his shoulder. And he had it surgically repaired. But for 10 years, he lived on ibuprofen, 3 to 4 times a day. 10 years. That takes a massive toll on your fitness. But in 4 sessions, it came on. So it seems miraculous. It was just an energy block, a trauma block, right? It's not the magical formula that can take something that's been damaged forever as far as tissue and in 4 sessions get rid of it. It's the fact that there was trauma stuck in there. Even though the surgical repair was done, there was a lot of trauma. And that moved and all his pain went away. So I've seen lots and lots of stories like that where it seems like sometimes people have back pain in just 1 session, 20 years of back pain, because that block was ready. So 10 minutes on the machine is equal to 90 minutes of Tai Chi or Qigong as far as energy movement in the body. That's what that whole art is developed for, is energy in the body, moving stuck energy through and around your body. All right, here's another really amazing fact about this, and this is what I was talking about with that researcher. So once we figured out there was a lot of things spontaneously happening, we had to start looking at cells and see why it was happening. And this is what we noticed. So this is before and after 10 minutes with sonic vibration. That is the change in the blood cells. So a lot of people's blood cells, believe it or not, look like that. That means they have a low cellular voltage. So the overall surface area of the cell is negative, and negative repels each other. So when the actual overall energy of the cell is low, the cells are in clump chains. And guess what that means? That means they don't respirate, they don't bring in oxygen and nutrients, and they can't get rid of waste products the way they should. So we're constantly reproducing cells, right? Every 48 hours, you have rods of cones in your eyes. Every 2 years, you have one. Every 7 years, you have every cell in your body replaced. So you're either creating another healthy cell or another sick cell. And those don't look too good on top. So once we realize this is happening in the cells, we had a little aha moment. This is why sonic vibration is so different than chemical, because of what it's doing at a cellular level. So what happens when you have healthy cells? You can resist disease, recover quickly, heal more rapidly, and create healthy cells. Otto Warburg is the one that did the original research on cell voltage. You want to know about price for it. So healthy cells have the voltage range from -70 to -90 millivolts. He said most people, the average person is about -50 millivolts. People that get all the colds and flus that come around are about 35 millivolts. You get down to 15 millivolts. You have people with cancer, AIDS, people that are really, really sick at 5 millivolts. Everything starts shutting. So that's the key to resisting disease and having a healthy body. It comes down to your cells. So this machine, which I make for this beautiful woman, is powerful energy. Somebody's joining us via telephone. That's what I love about live things, you know? So we have sound frequency vibration that's doing exactly what we saw with the cells. It alone will do that. The original machine that I imported didn't have any of the frequency formulas. This has over 1,000 frequency formulas. Frequency medicine has been researched the last 80 years, heavily. It just hasn't made it into mainstream medicine except for ultrasounds, sonic toothbrushes, things like that. But it's getting there. We're getting closer and closer. So you have over 1,000 frequency formulas that you synergistically combine with the sonic vibration that increases its effectiveness at least 50%. We have Eastern medicine programs in there for chakra balancing, for ancient tones, balancing your energy field. And this system is phenomenal for stimulating the lymphatic system, which is the most neglected system in the body. For those of you that don't understand the lymphatic system, it is kind of a vacuum for our bloodstream. So for every 4 lymphatic cells or lymphatic vessels, you have 1 blood vessel, either artery or vein, and it's constantly cleaning out your blood to keep it stable. That's what keeps us alive. And then every so often, no, well, that lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. So your cardiovascular system has the heart, right? That pumps everything to the periphery, and then there's pressure to get back. The lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. It relies solely on one-way valves and muscle action. Guess how much of the world probably, but especially America, is sedentary. Before COVID, it was 68%. Pretty sure it's quite a bit higher. There's a lot of people that. So lymphatic stimulation, I have never found anything better than for this machine. As far as musculoskeletal, this is incredible for increasing muscle mass and strengthening the bones. In fact, that's how it was first created. It was first created by the Russians. They created a mechanical version, and they used it in their space program because astronauts go up in space and they lose all their bone and muscle mass, and they can hardly walk. And then NASA started incorporating the same thing. Those were mechanical machines. The first year that Russians put them into the Olympics, they won about 151 medals, I believe, gold and silver, and had all the medals confiscated until they were drug tested because they thought it was some special drug. So really effective for that, and then for the circulatory system as well. Actually, all the systems of the body. So once again, human body created to be a self-healing machine. I want you to go away and remember that. That's the way we're supposed to do. So what do you get from this? It does a lot of things. So as far as athletic performance, it's used a lot in sports. They use it in strength and conditioning programs for elite athletes to increase neuromuscular stimulation. They have little exercises they do on it, and they'll go do a set. They do a minute and 20 seconds of certain exercises, 3 lunges, 3 squats, 3 lunges, have them spin around, do the same thing again, and they're going to another set. And they're finding it really enhances performance, and then they're using it at the end for recovery, rapid recovery. It's one of the areas that's really overlooked in athletics, is you have so many things to train with, you have a foam roller to recover with. So WSU, the coach up there, is all about recovery, because when the athletes are recovered, they are much less prone to injury, and they perform much, much better. So weight loss, it's fantastic for weight loss. It will take your body to kind of its right weight and it'll stay there. Improve vitality, definitely gives you energy, back to that point of creating a body that you're still looking ants inside. Anti-aging, it's great for that as well. I have seen people that are in their 70s turn back the clock like 15 years. I had one gentleman that bought a machine from me. I didn't see him for 6 months, and I didn't recognize him. He came to a local trade show, and he's like, looking at me like this, and I'm like, hi. And I had no idea, because he had a really heavy neck and belly on him, and he lost all that. That was all gone, and he just lived a good 15 years younger. But he used it religiously every single day. I really believe in it. He was a neurophysicist too, so. Rapid recovery from training and injuries. With that cell voltage stimulation, that cells tend to heal themselves really quickly. You get little muscle tears, they tend to heal quickly. I've put it into PT centers, and it's taken 6-week programs and put them into a 2-week program. The patients were just done in 2 weeks. They were healed and recovered, in addition to doing PT exercises. So it supports your natural healing ability, and it also, most importantly, creates an environment where disease can't thrive. And that's the most important thing. We did a weight loss study here locally. Most of you know the Port Club. They have a thin and healthy program. So I took 3 machines and put in there, put out a Facebook ad to see who from the community wanted to do a free weight loss study for a month. And I brought people in, and we did all their measurements. We did extensive measurements, neck, upper arm, all of it. Weight, took their blood pressure, heart rate, and had them come in 3 days a week for 20 minutes for 1 month. And we also did a sliding scale just on a piece of paper. It was like a 1 through 10, just asked them to do it quickly and let us know where they were on their stress level, pain level, sleep quality, depression, fatigue. And the reason I did this study is because every study out there on vibration or sound vibration is long term. They're 6 months, 9 months, and a year. And I really wanted to see what would happen with random people that weren't athletes, that, you know, weren't a specialized select group. They were just random people with regular lives, and do it in the short term and see where we get. So it was really interesting. 4.1 pounds was the average weight loss. There's a gentleman here in town that was our winner. He lost 21.8 pounds. He had a very sedentary life. He ran his business from the desk. He didn't do any of the actual physical labor. You know, he'd go home, have dinner, sit on the couch and watch TV. So for him, it was a big boost because 20 minutes is like doing 2 hours of cardio, right? So it was a big boost in activity level. The only thing I ask people to do is drink more water because you're detoxifying your system. So everybody drink more water. Ask them not to change their exercise or eating habits. Average inches lost was 13.7, and maximum was 32.25. And that is because a lot of people are carrying a lot of extra fluid and water weight. And this also is really good for toning muscles. So we got a big change in inches. And a lot of times you're building muscle at the same time you're losing weight. So it has a pretty profound effect. This was really interesting to me. So almost as interesting as the other death. So with everybody's pain, stress, sleep, depression, and fatigue all improved. Some people had the best sleep they'd had in a long, long time. I found out later, one of the ladies that was in the program, her sister was bringing her because she was so depressed, she was having a hard time getting off the couch. And she probably changed her activity a little. I interviewed her at the end, and she said her mood came up so much that she started cleaning the house, going out in the yard and playing with her kids, all the things she hadn't been doing. So this, I think, is just as important as everything else. Let's talk about bone density. So bone density is a really big issue. 10 million Americans with osteoporosis, and 80% are women. It gets to be a bigger and bigger issue, especially postmenopausal, which I am. 1 in 2 women over 50 have osteoporosis, and the risk of falling and breaking, especially a hip, is equal to the combined risk of breast, uterine, and ovarian cancer. So osteoporosis doesn't get as much focus as cancer, but it's a really, really important thing. And I know there's been a ton of studies done with osteoporosis and vibration on actually reversing the bone loss with consistent use. And those are longer term studies, like 6 months to a year. So this is pure linear movement in this machine. So that creates an artificial gravity field. And that is the reason that is actually helping, like they always recommend that you lift weights. You can do that on this machine as well, but that puts extra stress on the bones and keeps you from going into osteoporosis. So it actually potentiates bone deposition, increases the density. It's stimulating the osteoblastic activity, which is building bone, and inhibits the osteoclasts, which are the ones that break down bone. So that's really, really important. Okay, vibrosonic and AV-fit features. Tell you what's in it. I already mentioned that there's 80 years worth of sound frequency research. There are 3 software programs in this unit. So the control software, the main control software, many of you have been on the machine, that is right frequencies in there, and there's whole body programs and manual programs if you want to focus on a certain part of the body. There's comprehensive right frequencies. There's over 1,000 frequency formulas in this technology. So you don't have to start doing everything, but at least you have the option of doing pretty much anything you want on this technology. We spent a lot of time integrating everything I could think of into this technology. So TBSW is actually a brain entrainment program. A lot of people have heard of binaural beats, which is a beat for the left hemisphere and a beat for the right. They found with further research, there's actually a beat for the midbrain, the base brain. So it makes it a lot more effective. There's several programs, quite a few programs in there for brain entrainment. You can actually plug headphones into the machine and play those brain entrainment frequencies. or it'll come out the Bose speakers. It's most effective though if you add it to headphones, because you are dealing with balancing frequencies. Great. Ancient tones, these are part of Eastern medicine. That's solfeggios. Some people know about them, some people don't. There's one called Transformation of Miracles. It's frequency 528. It's actually used by NASA. It actually regenerates DNA. They did some research at Stanford and UCLA and found that it regenerates DNA, so NASA started using it to try and, well, in the space programs, to try and preserve and repair DNA. There's the Bose speakers on the side. We never try to make our own speakers for the side because Bose does it better than anyone, and they just don't fail. So putting them on the side is for a specific reason. It actually points the frequencies at the core of the body. So you're standing on a base. This base right here has 3 large voice coils. The one in the center is really large, and these are custom. We make them. And that is actually what moves the plate up and down. So if you took the cover off a speaker and you would see the speaker moving, that is what's happening here, except these are extraordinarily powerful. So you're actually moving in a sine wave. And people that are familiar with mechanical vibration, that's up, stop, down, stop. It is completely opposite of that. There's also cell exciters that look like a computer mouse, about that size. Those are transducers that you put on a specific part of the body. So if you have inflammation or an injury in your elbow, you put it there. If you have back problems, you put it on your back. Knee problems, you put it on your knee. If you're trying to spot reduce, you put it on that area. It just takes the frequencies and puts them in that specific area. So there is an audio in as well. So you can run spa music, your favorite relaxation music. You can even plug brain tap into that machine. And it's a completely submersive experience. A lot of people actually sit on the plate and run frequency panels and listen to the brain tap, but the brain tap comes through the speakers and the bass. It's quite extraordinary. So integrating more complementary aspects of medicine has a powerful, powerful effect. What in 10 minutes do for you? So it's worth an hour of cardio or 90 minutes of Tai Chi or Qigong. It also strengthens and repairs soft tissue. There's programs that you can do for connective tissue disorders, for internal scar tissue, for all kinds of things. There's great mood elevation frequencies. We call it mood elevation on the machine. It's actually a combination of frequency formulas for depression and fatigue. And they work really well to increase serotonin relief and make you feel better. So I use those a lot. We already talked about removing blocked energy in the body, which is really key to the body to make it heal. Increasing muscle mass and bone density, that's really key. We've covered that. Increases range of motion. So this is where it's used a lot in PT and chiropractic. So a lot of people have restricted range of motion from injuries, and doing range of motion exercises on the machine is phenomenal. You get a massive increase in the effectiveness and shortens treatment time tremendously. So if you do your stretching on the machine, touch your toes, things you couldn't do before you got on the machine, you'll be able to do on the machine and when you get off. Really good at reducing inflammation. There's the machine on its own will reduce inflammation. We've seen that on thermography. But there's also inflammation frequencies from Rife that you can actually put on that area of the body or run through the whole machine that will reduce the inflammation. It is phenomenal for pain relief. So there's a pain management program. You can tap on a part of the body, breaks the body up into 3 parts. It'll run all the frequencies through the machine for that section of the body. So if you're doing lower body, it's going to run frequencies for knee pain, for ankle pain, for hip pain, back pain, so on and so forth. So faster recovery, rapid recovery is what this is all about. It's not just from illness, it's from training, it's from injury. And if you like to play hard and ski hard, this becomes really, really important, especially when you're kind of older, or work hard, especially when you're older like me. Let's see here. Oh, yes, this is a really fun lens for you to look through. So this is kind of the big picture concept, but your mind controls your emotions and your emotions control your body. So this is really key. I mean, we all try to help people, and it's really key to try and clean up or understand this concept. I used to say that, you know, if everybody had an HD TV screen attached to the top of their head, and all their emotions and their thoughts were displayed in real time. You know, there's a lot of people who wouldn't leave their house. And there's other people that would really try to clean up the screen and align everything. And what controls the mind? That's the remote control, this thing. And sometimes you have to pass it up to source, and sometimes you have to plug in a brain tap and help reprogram your subconscious mind because it greatly influences it. But if you can keep your mental field and your emotional field clear, or work on clearing that, it has a profound effect on the body. So just something to think about. I want everybody to think about it. So Eastern medicine teaches us that water clears the emotional body, fire clears the mental body, and emotional and mental toxicity leads to chronic illness and disease in the body. So, interesting story. There's a lady named Jasmine Heen. She actually started the breatharian movement, but then she got really obsessed with immortality. So she decides to go to the East and see if she can find immortals, people live in the same physical body for over 300 years. And when she searched and searched and finally found 8, right? And she's figuring, okay, I'm going to come up with this magic secret, this missing ingredient, this key thing. It's going to be diet, or they're all going to eat the same kind of herb, or they're all going to have the same kind of meditation. There's going to be something profound, and she's going to write a book on it. She's written like 28 books. And what she found is the only 2 things they all have in common. They all slept by fire, and they all completely submerged in water twice a day to keep the mental and emotional body clear, and that stopped the aging process in the body. Other than that, they had nothing in common. One ate chocolate and drank coffee, and that's pretty much it. So anyway, it's something to think about. So here's our mission for the company. We got your machine in there. Hopefully this is aligned with your mission, my dear. Helping people of all ages. And I wanted to emphasize something here. This really is for people of all ages. So as far as babies and small children, we had at Cadwell, there was a woman that had a baby that was 10 months old, 18 days. It could not poop. So she went to all the, she's very traditional medical, and went to everybody here, and they couldn't stimulate the baby to defecate. So they were sending her to Children's Hospital for surgery. And this baby's 10 months old. And my business partner is Carl Cadwell for manufacturing. So he called me up. He's like, is there anything you can do here? So let me try. So I had the mom hold the baby, and I ran the frequencies for stress relief, for abdominal pain, and for constipation. And put the cell exciters, or actually that we're using speakers. We haven't cell exciter concept yet. On the baby. Baby seemed happy. Mom stood there for about 10 minutes. We had the machine on medium. She went and fed the baby, came back to 10 more minutes, and everything just, everything cleared out. So, yeah. And you know, this is also, it's not only for people of all ages, but it's also for pets. I have a veterinarian down in Florida. Her name is Dr. Bobbett Siegel. She's an integrative veterinarian. So she already uses a lot of the alternative methods on things, and she actually has 2 of our machines, and she's starting to keep records on everything. She had a dog with IBS for 7 years, and the pet parents just put up with it. It's like twice a week it had IBS, so twice a week it had diarrhea, and they finally drove a long ways to see Dr. Siegel, and they spent 5 days there, and she ran her on IBS and diarrhea frequencies, and it went away and it's never come back. She did also change the diet so it wouldn't come back, but she's also run runs with her kids. She has a parent that has a child with a genetic disability that actually causes a lot of diarrhea. The medical professionals could fix it. She used this machine and they got it stopped. So dealing with the body on a frequency level, and that's really ultimately what we are, is profoundly effective, especially since sound travels really well through the body due to the space and water level. So we want to perform at our highest level. I want to keep skiing until I'm like 110, you know, more than halfway there. We actually went out and skied a couple of hours ago. That's why I had some ski. Really important to do the things you love and be able to do what you do and get you healthy, be healthy and thrive and have a wonderful life. So improve your physical fitness. Everybody wants to look better and feel better. That's really important too. And recover rapidly if you do get injured or have overworked or whatever it is. If you're sick, it's amazing for recovery there too, especially people that have been through a lot of treatment that have had different kinds of challenges with cancer, whatever else, for detoxifying the system, getting your cell voltage up, getting the body back to a healthy state after other treatments. Improving overall wellness of humanity through the fiber-sonic wellness system and the fit wellness system. Accelerating recovery, kind of already covered, increasing energy levels. So this is really, really important. A lot of us are tired. So this is phenomenal for kind of reversing that, getting that spark back. Enhancing vitality, feeling better, we already covered. Reducing stress. Now, stress is a huge issue. When I did the weight loss study, I ran the frequencies for stress relief, for mood elevation, and for weight loss. The weight loss frequencies have a combination of frequencies for supporting the thyroid and increasing your metabolism, and the frequencies for lipolysis and cavitation that we use in non-invasive lipo to break the fat cell down. And in the study, I found that those three formulas together work really, really well, because why do we eat? We're stressed, or we're tired, or we're down. So, I mean, sometimes we're just that's the reason we eat the wrong things, I think. Maybe at the wrong times, late at night or whatever it is. So, and everybody, it seems like, wants to lose weight. That's a huge deal, especially after COVID. A lot of people put on quite a bit of weight. And it's, you know, used to be called the COVID-15. When did it get to be the COVID-30? Oh, wait, it was called the COVID-15 like the first 6 months. I think that's what everybody was calling it, because nobody's going to the gym. So they're rightfully claiming they're COVID-15. So ultimate wellness system for your best mental, physical, emotional health, and vitality. And we do make it here. We manufacture here in town, of all things. So this is made in the U.S. We put 3.5 years of blood, sweat, and tears and loving DNA work into creating this machine. Our R&D took that long. We thought it'd be like 1.5 years. We have it done. And then we kept thinking, oh, we should add this. Ooh, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? But we're really happy with the effect, that the outcome. It's almost limitless in what you can do with this machine. It's not something you grow out of. It's something that you grow with. There you go. This is how you get a hold of Amanda. You gotta wave in front of it. And I would like to open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions, surely.
When you were talking valves, when you talking valves, that's with veins,
Yeah.
lymphatic valves?
Yeah, so there was one-way valve. So the way it works, and frequency 4, 5, and 6 on the machine are actually the frequencies that are perfect for throwing the lymph up and giving that valve time to close. And then the next round, it goes up and gives the valve time to close. When you do, like mechanical machines, a lot of them don't go below 25 or 35 hertz, and it's too fast a frequency. The only other thing that moves lymphatic fluid is exercise. I mean, it relies on the muscles, and a lot of us just don't exercise as much as we need to. But those valves are critical, and a lot of people, if they do get an injury, some of those valves get damaged. So then you have even more of a challenge. But it's really, really important to move that lymphatic fluid. The traditional medicine is actually looking at a congestive lymphatic system as the underlying cause of all disease. That's the way they're starting to view it. It's that important. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So, is there a certain combination of frequencies that are best for migraine treatment?
There are frequencies in TBSW, the brain entrainment program for migraine, and then I would use the right frequencies for headache pain. A lot of times with migraine, I actually worked with somebody. I had somebody sent to me for a consult that had 40 years of migraines, and she had 2 weeks, and they last 2 to 3 days. So you count that number of days a week, their quality of life, it's not too good. So the one thing I had to go through is figuring out the triggers, because there's usually triggers for migraine. And she had You couldn't do her, which is awesome. She didn't do a lot of exercise. She didn't drink a ton of water, but her triggers turned out to be dietary. We ended up going through her entire diet. And there's certain things, the excitotoxins like the MSG, had to get rid of those, and a couple of things she was allergic to. And then she ended up getting a machine, and she would run the frequencies, and she actually got software on her computer. So if she started getting one, she would do the machine, and then she would lay down and listen to the frequencies through the software. But we got rid of her migraines, and she had tried everything. Even then, they'll try Botox, like all over the scalp.
Oh, my daughter's, yeah, so my daughter has,
Ah.
she's done Botox and they.
Yeah. Yeah. There's usually, if you can hit it from both sides, so do the vibrational frequency treatment, as well as figure out what the
Yeah, and we've done elimination diets, and then we do need to like do some blood work to find out her sensitivity.
So there's a really cool program that maybe it's too soon to tell you about it, but the one question I always get asked by people that have this machine in the field is, there's so many frequencies, how do I know what to do? And there is a frequency science that has been developed in Russia. And it will actually scan your energy field, and it scans your voice, and it scans your energy field, and it actually gives you insane amount of material as far as toxins, allergens, organs being affected, the emotional things that are affecting you in that specific spot, the viruses, the parasites, and it actually gives your blood work. And so, well, we're going to have it soon, very soon. So,
I'm just.
yeah,
I'm working on it.
Have it really
Working on
soon.
it.
All right.
But you can scan yourself, you can get one personally, or you can get one for your business so that you can scan everybody that comes in. Then you know what specifically to work on. And it's really phenomenally accurate, this particular program. People have done their blood work, the people that don't believe, had their blood work taken. There was a lady that she'd done this traditionally, and she was in the hospital for something, or something. But they were doing blood work, and she was comparing on a day-by-day basis, and blood work matched day by day. So that's a great, validation. But it's a really effective tool. I think it's something that is a little bit missing. If you don't know, some people know. They've been to doctors. They know what their particular issue they're working on. But a lot of the problem with traditional medicine, and I say this lovingly because that was my family, is they will do a bunch of tests and figure out one thing. When they find one thing, they stop looking.
Yeah.
There might be 3 things in your body that are going wrong, 3 things that need to be addressed, but they'll stop at that one thing. So you don't ever achieve vitality and truth with that one issue handled. And you still have the others to deal with it. So I love this software. I think it's a perfect integration. I mean, anything like this existed or I've done it. It's been out for years and years and years. But I don't go to Russia.
How do you access it? My brother used to be the manager for JPL, Jet Propulsion. He worked for NASA and was he has
Yeah, so NASA has access to all this kind of stuff too. And I know it's also used in veterinary medicine as well. Somebody over here you had a question. Sorry.
Would this work with an addiction to drugs or a prescription or alcohol or smoking or, there's other addictions out there. Would it help address something?
So interestingly enough, I don't know how much any of you know about Rife, but Rife spent his whole life doing frequency medicine and research. He actually built the world's first live virus microscopes. He studied ophthalmology and eye surgery and astronomy and figured out how to make these live virus microscopes. And they're trippy. The Smithsonian still has one. They have so many lenses. It's just insane. It's not like your regular single double lens microscope. But he said that the only way you can understand disease is to see it when it's alive, right? And all the blood tests being done back then, everything was dead at the time they treated it, looked at it. And viruses are very, very, very tiny compared to bacteria. So nobody could see those. So he built this microscope, and then he built a ray tube, is what he called it, and Tesla coils in it, and he could dial in different frequencies. And it was funded by Bell Telephone. And they built him a nice lab. I think he had 18 physicians working under him. And they did a lot of experiments on albino rats. And he had a physician friend that gave him a fresh breast tumor that could for the patient. And so he started taking little pieces of this, and he would actually radiate it for a very short period of time, because radiation, oddly enough, makes cancer very, very, very virulent. And then he'd inject a little bit into the mammary duct of the rat. Tumor grows super fast, and then he'd excise it, and then he'd dial in different frequencies. When he finally found the frequency formula, he would actually take samples in a petri dish out 12 miles from his lab, and those frequencies out of that ray tube were so strong it would kill every sample. So he spent his whole life researching stuff like this. And he could see all the smallest little particles and parasites and viruses. And that's where this came from. He did take it to the AMA, Morris Fisher was in charge. He wanted to publish in JAMA, because that was the only way back then to get any information to doctors was through JAMA. It was a, yeah, it was a medical journal. And they said, good job, we want to buy your research and we'll like to stop researching.
And yeah, then they stopped.
Yeah, and then his lab got burned to the ground, but Bell built him another one. But through all this controversy, getting back to your question, he kind of became an alcoholic. So there's actually hangover formulas, there's alcoholism formulas, there's emotional stability formulas, there's chemical detoxification formulas, all in the software. So I don't know about other drugs, but I know that was like something he addressed personally. They say he'd spend up to 24 hours sometimes, just because he was so close to finding the resonant frequency of the virus, and when you get it perfect, the virus would just go, just explode. Like an opera singer shattering glass. So, yes.
Have you ever had anybody with MS jump on?
Yes, I've had people that really couldn't stand without leg braces get on the machine. And I was only around her the first time she used it. I went to Dr. Peterson's office. He had one of my machines down in Hermiston, and he brought in all his toughest patients for me to kind of get them dialed in. And I don't know what the feedback I got on that is, that she didn't wear leg braces after that. She didn't wear them when she got off the machine. They went to a movie, and she felt pretty good until that evening. So it's going to take more than one cycle, but there are frequencies for that as well. And the thing we can say about the frequencies, according to the FDA attorney, and this is really, really, really important, is that these frequencies may help relieve the symptoms associated with these conditions, but they are not meant to treat or cure. And we have to say that just to keep us in the safety zone of the FDA. So if you use it, it may help relieve your symptoms and magically get better. That's
Kind of goes along
awesome.
with the new therapeutics. I've heard a lot of
This kind of energy.
that sound and
Yeah.
like that.
Yep. Yeah. I just got back from my beds too. I just got back from I went to Utah and then to Dallas to an integrative wellness convention. It's a whole new movement. They're creating these carousels in every major city. There are all kinds of specialists with different kinds of therapies, from traditional medicine to alternative. And they're all starting to work together. So this should be really interesting how that movement really takes off.
It'll be nice.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, no, there's big money in disease. That's why we have we have the most expensive medical system in the world, but we rank 43rd as far as effectiveness. So,
We do have some questions online too.
Okay.
When you're ready.
yes.
Can you be too excited by the improvements in pain and vitality and overdo the use of the machine? This particular person uses it 20 minutes twice a day.
Wow. Well, personally, I would have worked up to that. That's 4 hours of cardio and more of that of the energy movement aspect. The critical piece there is detoxification. When you use this technology, it really detoxifies your body. So water, 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 good water, Amanda's water. But that's really, really important. You'll know when you hit the tipping point if you start experiencing like detox symptoms, which a lot of people are like flu-like symptoms. They just don't have as much energy. They don't feel as good. Some people can actually make themselves kind of sick.
Next question, is the machine FDA approved?
FDA approved. No, we have not gone down that road. It's not a happy road to go on, so.
You guys are better about that.
Yes,
Is there a protocol for nerve damage or repair?
yes, there is. So there's several frequencies. In fact, when Jung Han was doing his research comparing mechanical vibration to sound vibration, he was doing that study, particular study was on diabetic neuropathy. And he had all kinds of measurements for that. They had a path they'd walk across that would measure gait and speed and balance and all of that. And that even at that point, with just using the basic programming with whole body frequencies, he would have them, some of them couldn't stand for 20 minutes. So they would sit on like a bar stool and put their feet on the machine, but really help improve their diabetic neuropathy. It's back to the same principle of getting your body to heal itself, getting that cell voltage up, and then the body starts spontaneously healing itself. There's also a frequency formula in there for neuropathy. We call it numbness, and it really works well. So you combine the two things, the sonic vibration and the frequency formula, to get better results.
We have one more here. Can you target a specific muscle group or is it a broad area?
So the pre-programmed cycle, put it on auto full body, it goes through pre-programmed cycle, and it will target each muscle group and each organ in your body and bring it to its resonant frequency. So say if you had a healthy gallbladder, it resonates at 8 hertz. You can actually take the manual setting if you're dealing with gallbladder issues and put it on 8 hertz, put the cell exciters on it. There's actually frequencies in there for gallstones and for kidney stones. We actually had, over at Cadwell, there was a couple of people that were, I think there were sales reps in town, you know, their position. But they had, one of them had kidney stones and gone to the hospital and gotten a scan. And he had a little screen. He was taking care of his screen, but he wanted to see what he could do. I wanted to see what we could do with frequencies. First person I've ever worked on with kidney stones. Mm-hmm. So at that point we had speakers. I put them directly on his kidneys. And we did one 20-minute session that night. He was staying at a hotel. I came back in the morning and did one more 20-minute session. All his pain was gone. He hadn't caught anything with the screen. It shattered it to the point where it just disintegrated. And he actually went back for another scan because he was not believing that, you know, the problem was gone. It's kind of like, where did it go? We don't know, but, you know, I like that one.
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
But this is exactly the same kind of frequencies that they use to shatter them. So anyway, it's that full body program is going to go through and target each muscle group, each organ, your bones, and it brings things back. It works on bringing everything back to its healthy frequency for that part of your body.
Beautiful. Okay. Is it safe for pregnant women?
You know, I don't recommend any pregnant women. And that is not because I feel it's dangerous. That is because I grew up in a medical family and my aunt delivered a ton of babies, over 1,000. And if there is any problem with delivery or any problem with the baby, they always look for the malpractice insurance or obstetrics is right underneath neural surgery. So I don't recommend anybody do it. I personally was fine, but I don't recommend it to anyone.
Okay. Is there any other questions out there on social media?
Yes.
The person, so, but,
Yes. So being barefoot, you don't have to be barefoot. Socks are great, but especially tennis shoes with rubber soles, frequencies be taken up by that. So it's much more effective. It goes through your feet. Yeah. Yes.
I noticed that on several of them, we have fibromyalgia, fibromyalgia too.
Right.
What is it?
So there's too many frequencies to put in one channel in cell tunes. If you go to the True Resonance Pro, that's a huge program. So they'll be combined into one. And if you use like weight loss, there's weight loss 1 and 2 on cell tunes because there's so many frequencies, but it's all programmed to use the weight loss. Plus we added lipolysis and capitation and thyroid stimulation. So everything, all those frequencies are in one format on the main control program. So it's real easy.
we haven't been on this. That's like,
No, it's not a different type of program. But a lot of things, you know, you want to do if you're really trying to regain health. As I try to look back with seeing patients, totally full time now, I'm not even consulting people. But looking back at your health history, and there's a trigger point, Lyme disease or whatever else it is, that started your road to a health decline, and go back and because our bodies, a lot of times, our immune system centers push everything back in the day, but it's not. Immune system goes down, or you're under stress, or anything like that, it can bring the symptoms forward again. And sometimes they're not the same as the first disease. But that's the way the problem. I found that with even spider bites. A lot of like heart problems. If you've had black widow or brown recluse, and those heart problems keep going, and you're trying to figure out how to prevent the arrhythmias and things like that. And sometimes you just go back to the point of creation problem. So, a lot of things to look at. It's the whole goal is have a healthy body.
Is there any other questions online? I know Kevin had a question here about, is there a guide or manual?
A guide or manual? Well, there's a quick start guide.
Quick start guide.
And there are a series of videos.
Yep.
And we're making more.
Yep.
For training. There's also in the software itself, there is an information tab. There's a vast amount of information on how to use it, what it does.
And for those of you online that maybe have a wellness practice and you're looking to put one of these in your wellness practice, there's one that you sold a machine to. What they're charging like $100 a session, is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a wellness center in Florida, and they charge $99 for training.
So you can add it to your practice out there, and you can help generate income, help people at the same time as well.
Veterinary medicine, I agree, $55 a session, and that's a cash pay. It's everywhere for animals because she's so good at all the pieces. 1 in every 1.67 dogs has cancer, 2 cats. So she deals a lot with that issue. It's pretty intense.
Yes, you can. We have animals coming on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do these compare to the traditional whole body vibration?
Okay, that's a very good question. So traditional whole body vibration, was developed a long time ago, but it has some drawbacks. So it doesn't do anything to increase the energy in your cells. So it will not increase your cell voltage. Your cells before and after will look exactly the same. So if they have low cell voltage before, they'll stay that way. Difference between shaking the cell and actually putting energy into the cell. So that's one difference. Another difference is the maximum influence is within 2 feet on the plate. So it's not going up your body. This will affect every cell in your body at the same time. As much as the top of your head is the bottom of your feet. Every cell gets stimulated at the same time.
How does it do that?
Huh?
What is it?
Because it's sound. And sound travels through space and water really, really, really well. And that's causing the vibrations. So you're actually moving up and down the sine wave. Mechanicals, up, stop, down, stop. There's also some vibration plates that are teeter-totter that put a zigzag vibration through your body. You can actually cause pretty severe back issues. Amanda's had that experience.
Yes, I have.
So the traditional ones are
All mechanical. Yeah. There's only one other sound machine made. It's still made in Korea. I used to import it and sell it. And then they started downgrading their components, and I could get sound frequencies through it because they used to have sound frequencies and through the machine and set up on those speakers. And if I couldn't get sound frequencies through the machine, that took away a good 50 to 70% of the effectiveness. So that's when we decided Carl Calloway used to be my customer. He bought 8 of the other machines. And he finally said, let's just make them. I just didn't know what a big task that was going to be, but I'm happy we did it. They are. So the other thing with the mechanical machines is it can't get down into lower frequencies. So most of the mechanical machines go down to 35 hertz or 25 hertz. The most powerful medicinal frequencies for the body are between 4 and 5 hertz. That's the ones that target organ, your liver's 9 hertz, it's functioning and healthy. Lungs are 17 hertz, heart's 18 hertz. If you want to be down in that lower range, don't need lymphatic stimulation because it doesn't go down to 4, 5, and 6.
And then what's the the effective of those machines. In other words, doing it. There's how, what's the, I guess, the safest?
Well, animals love it. So a lot of times the dog wants to be held when they want it, when it's little, because it's going to increase their cellular energy too and help their body heal themselves. I do know of a couple of people that are really, really, really skinny, and they'll set people on weight loss and run from the room. So they don't want to be affected by that. The sound frequencies for breaking down any remaining fat on their body. They are skin and bones. But you can, with these sound frequencies, I know when my kids would have a bad day at school, I turn on frequencies, elevation, stress relief, and I just let them play. This is such an incredible Wi-Fi system. You can actually plug in your phone. So it can actually Bluetooth or something. Turns out the computer sounded really just really intense. How about that? Yeah. Finally asked, why aren't we? What do you do with the antennas? Okay, now. But it's really effective for that. If the incredible sound system is that it has emotion sensor on it. So if somebody does get off the machine, it doesn't turn it off. You go answer the phone. There is a stop button. There is also a pause button. You go to the bathroom or answer the phone, and then you can resume your session. But if you get off and leave, it's going to keep playing. You walk back by it. It'll shut off after 2 minutes. You walk back by it, it'll turn back on. It's alive. It scares me sometimes. But so it's really great for lowering blood sugar, and there are frequency formulas for diabetes. Biggest thing also with diabetes and diet, sugar is like diabetics. You really gotta, a lot of the frame of mind in the medical industry is you just balance more insulin. And it's really, really, really destructive for your body, but is phenomenal for getting your blood pressure down, your blood sugar down. I actually, after I did the study, I did 2 of them actually before, but I had a doctor who talked to me. One of the guys at the study was his patient, and he said, I have put him on every medication for his blood pressure. Nothing has worked. His blood pressure went less. So, and we didn't have the hypertension frequencies, but so, yes.
I have a lady friend I was speaking to last night about coming to see this thing. She was involved in couple accidents in her years.
Yes.
And so they got loads of stuff on her spine. Mm-hmm. And when I was explaining this to her, she says, "Oh, I went to a woman's thing and expo, and I think they had a machine there and took some kind of paper form to fill it out." The lady says, "We can do the brain test, but we can't do it. We are not going to be responsible for it."
So here's the contraindication. So if it was a mechanical machine, which I know the women show, they've had several mechanical companies kind of that display there. So mechanical machines can cause a myriad of problems. If there's arthritis, if there's a broken disc, or whatever it is. The contraindications for using sound is, mind you, sound is back from the top to the bottom, so it's much more welcoming, easy on the body, much more good. And that's why we know at such a young age, at older age, it's really good for people with balance problems, by the way. The assistant surgeon general released a statement probably 7 or 8 years ago saying it was the ideal form of exercise for the elderly and those with balance issues and those with exercise. So the contraindications, back to your question, if you've had a total replacement, you need to wait a year. If you had a total knee replacement, you need to wait 90 months. Other surgeries, like smaller surgeries, I would, if it's something small, you can wait 2 weeks. If it's something more major, but there's no metal, 4 to 6 weeks is whenever your doctor tells us that we need to exercise without doing any damage. But the time period for the hip and the knee is you're putting so much bone and metal together. And when you have sound frequencies and you put them on a piece of metal and something that is living in wood and vibrate differently than the metal piece at the same frequency, it causes a dissonance that keeps it from fusing. So as soon as it's fused, And some people heal faster. Some people, I had somebody that had a hip replacement and a knee replacement. Their doctor released it early. He said, X-rays are bad, everything's fused. You're fast healers, and there's no problem. It doesn't cause any problems with working with the heart. But I don't know what the particular, sounds like some screws, maybe
Yeah,
titanium cage.
screws. Their spine. Something about her disc. They were deteriorating it, but
Put a cage in there probably. And
something, and
some
she says,
pins.
no, I can't go do that.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, what I usually do with people like that is they do have a lot of trauma energy stuck in their body from major surgery causes serious trauma. So there are trauma frequencies in the machine that I would use to kind of release that trauma. And I did have one person that had her knee swell as the trauma released. It swelled for about a day and a half and then all went away along with the pain.
So I was thinking, can a person's, I suppose, let's just, we're gonna talk about her. I'm gonna have her show up here, and I'm gonna tell her, don't stand on it. Sit on a chair, put your feet on the machine.
Sure, it's a good way to start. Absolutely. Absolutely, do that.
I think that it could rejuvenate this.
Depends on the degree. So anything that's getting your cell voltage up will help. I know that I had a car accident in just 20 seconds. It's a lot of years, 30 years ago. And I got a herniated disc in my neck. And I've never gotten surgery. I did extraction to take pressure off it. And it's a lot of vibration for 15 years.
How about metal stents in your heart?
So recently placed or something that's been there a long
It's
time.
been there a while.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I would not put it on ultra.
Go big or go
She's
home.
ultra, extra high, extra low. But I would put it on low, and then you can work yourself to medium. But I've done brain shunts and all of that, but not if they're recently placed. They tend to be destabilized easily when they're recently placed until they become kind of accepted by the body and stable.
I've been 8 years.
Oh, you're
Thinking
fine.
of accepting.
You're fine. I still wouldn't do it on ultra or high. Right. She started on ultra. 40 minutes is better.
Excellent. So I am curious, how many of you in the room have been using the device on a daily basis or every other day? Super, super. And can someone share a story? Maybe it's helped you in some way with the audience, just so we can kind of see what's going on in your body.
First time here.
Yeah.
First time I very nice. So, I've been doing this for
Yeah.
and less pain.
Awesome. Great.
Fantastic. Those frequencies will kind of focus on that too.
Yes, please.
I used it for the first time and only once on Wednesday. And for the last probably 2 weeks, I've had a sore neck, a really sore neck, and I could tell my lymph nodes were swollen. And I was tired. I didn't want to go to sleep at night because that's when my head and my neck would swell. Hurt worse because I'm laying down and because of my lymph nodes. So I have been taking Tylenol and ibuprofen, and I would wake up in the middle of the night and my husband's like, "What are you doing? Are you massaging?" I would massage right here my lymph node because it would make the headache go away and my sore neck. Anyways, I got on the 10-15 minutes, did the
Lymphatic.
Yep. And I probably chose maybe 2 or 3 other, the fatigue and maybe stress. I didn't choose the lymphatic at first. I added it in the middle of my session. And that vibration changed. And as soon as it changed, I could feel my lymph nodes draining. And it was just, I'm like, no way. I got off that machine and my neck was not sore anymore. It was gone. And I have not had a sore neck since then. And they're not swollen anymore. And it was just one time. And I know not everyone has, you know, can tell right away.
Your husband said it was a scam, right?
Anyways,
Trying to sell.
I was, I was really impressed. I was impressed, so.
I was kind of like that.
Yeah. That's great.
Super.
So
Yeah,
deal
Mario.
with, I've been dealing with a hernia for quite some time. 6 months ago, I went to go see what the doctors can do, and the doctor said I won't operate on it. You've got to lose weight tremendously before we would do that. So he suggested that I go get a band. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. I like food. I'll deal with this. I'll work with it. So within the last month and a half, I've been really, really dealing with my hernia, and it's been very painful. So I put this band on. I've been on that machine twice, and I haven't.
What? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Working through it. Yeah.
It's gonna,
Wow.
reduce the swelling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm believing on the weight loss too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
believe in weight loss, and then always looking for dietary triggers, and that's one thing where a scan will help you identify what you're allergic to.
Yep. Yep.
I had a lady at a trade show, quick story, it kind of builds on yours. And she came by and she got on the machine and she didn't say anything. I mean, she said thanks and left, and she was young. She was probably in her 20s. She came back the next day and she goes, "What is this thing?" And I go, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, I went to Mexico on vacation about 3 weeks ago." And she goes, "I got pummeled by a wave and I had water in my ears that would not go away. I felt like I was underwater, could hardly hear things." Went back, went to her general practitioner. He sent her to an ENT. They said there was nothing we could do. She was on the machine. Actually, I think, no, she was on for 20 minutes. All of that drained within the next hour. She was driving home and it all drained and her ears cleared. Yeah.
Miracle machine. Tonda?
I love her story about the knee, because what did we have to say? I don't know what's the matter with my knee. What happened with my knee? And I mean, I heard of women years ago, but think of any reason why they should. But all of a sudden, it's gone, and I'm sure it's
The trauma.
The trauma.
Wow, that's amazing. Cool.
Yeah, if you actually go to a Chinese physician and you have a malignant tumor, they always insist that you address the emotional issue, because they said inside, they believe that inside or the cause of every cancer tumor is deep hurt covered by anger, and they lock it in and it turns into dysfunction. So they hit it from both angles. We're just an amazing energy system. That's what we are. Everything talks to everything else.
So the only thing I'm looking for is this tinnitus to stop. After 20 years, I'm expecting something like
All right, well, there's frequency formula. Let's give it a shot.
that.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to turn it down online. So all of you out there, thank you so much for joining us. This will be recorded, and I will send it to all of you in recording very soon. Bye.